School. A time to forge a bond with people that'll last a lifetime. A time to learn the important things that you're going to need to know in life, like laws of gravity and long division. Nah, I'm just messing with you. There's only two things that matter when you're in school. That's girls and partying. But what makes a good party? Beer and drugs. Matter of fact, hold that thought real quick. That is pretty good. That is the good stuff. And did you guys hear about that new drug? It's called sextasy. It's a mixture of Viagra and ecstasy. That is the good stuff. That is the new stuff. That's what all the kids want. I need to get me some of that. But wait a minute, man. Didn't we get taught all through life that drugs are bad for you? Nah, man, we're just having a good time. Let's just party. But what if that good time leads to something else? Look, man, don't worry about it. We already got a job. We don't get drug tested. What difference does it make? Let's just have a good time. Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about why drug testing should be mandatory for all students. So first off, what I'm going to talk to you guys about is some of the effects of using drugs. Some of the short-term effects: learning issues, problem solving issues, issues thinking, issues with coordination, increased heart rate. Those are all pretty bad things to have, even if it's for a short time. Those aren't things that you're going to really want to have, to deal with. Some of the long-term effects: increased risk for cancer, death. I mean, I don't really think I need to go past those two. Those are probably two of the worst things that you could ever imagine happening to yourself. And is it really worth it? Just smoke some weed? Pop some pills? Nah, man. I don't really think it's worth that. So, now with me bringing up, some of the long and short term effects of drugs, let's talk about the way drugs affect you while you're in school. Like I said, you're going to have issues with problem solving and learning. So how do you expect to take a test if you're always high, if you're always drugged out? How do you expect to do any homework? How do you expect to pay attention in class? I mean, you can't. And if you somehow do manage to do those things, you're going to do them really bad. Probably to the point where you might get kicked out of school, depending on if you're in college or high school. But it's pretty bad. You could ruin the rest of your life just to smoke a little weed. Also, there's a study that's been done, and on average, at a minimum, students who use drugs average one grade lower than students who don't. And that's a minimum. It's usually a lot more than that. So, next thing I want to talk to you about is the average life expectancy of somebody who uses drugs. Every year, over 100,000 Americans die from drug use. It's estimated that 22 million Americans use drugs monthly. It's estimated that over 119 million Americans have used drugs at least once. At least once. That is a lot of people. And surprisingly, according to a study, more people die from the use of prescription drugs than anything. But what makes that so crazy is, I think it was about 90% of these people don't even have a prescription for these drugs. So where are they getting them? They're getting them off the streets. And unfortunately, it's more and more likely that you're going to find somebody between the age of 18 and 25 selling those drugs. So, really, drug testing needs to be mandatory in schools. The main reason for drug testing being mandatory is to intervene. If you can intervene at an earlier age when your kids are starting, you can put an end to that. You could save somebody's life. You could save somebody's life. Not only your kid's life, not only your brother's life, your sister's life. You could save somebody you've never even met yet. It's shown that at least 1% of all traffic fatalities a year are caused by marijuana. 1%. That doesn't seem like a lot. Unfortunately, that's over 40,000. That's a lot. And I'm keying in on weed a lot because that is a very commonly used drug. And most of the youth in America now, that's what they do. That's not right. We need to step in. We need to put an end to that. We need to save these young kids' lives. So today I've talked to you mainly about the grade average of drug users, the life expectancy of drug users, and the short and long-term effects of drug users. I think it's clear to see that if this isn't put to a stop, more and more people are going to die. And the best way to put a stop to drug use is to get it while they're young. Put a stop to it while they're young. You can tell somebody not to do it, but that doesn't mean they're not going to do it. You need to enforce what you're saying and drug test these kids.